Like, geez.
But yeah, Kurt Angle's been talking a little bit.
Yeah, I love this story. I didn't see a lot of places talk about it, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Kurt Angle has his own podcast, right? I think with ad-free shows, I think, as well. Yep. There, of course, every wrestler's got a podcast. Everyone's got a wrestling podcast, like us. But he mentioned something that definitely had my attention. For anyone who watched Kurt Angle in TNA, if you were watching wrestling, when Kurt left WWE and then shows up, has the whole headbutt Samoa Joe thing, people lost their minds. That was a really hot thing in wrestling, especially the biggest thing TNA has ever done, hands down. But in an interview on one of his shows this week, Kurt Angle was mentioning that when he showed up in TNA, Brock Lesnar, who was still friends with Kurt, called him and was like, "Hey, I see you're doing that TNA stuff. You think you could get me in?" And Kurt says on his show, maybe. Kurt also said on this podcast last week, like, "I should not be saying this, but..." And then continues to say that Brock said that he would go to TNA if they paid him the same they paid Kurt. And TNA said, "No, we can't do that because we gave Kurt all our money. We gave Kurt all our money. We can't give you any more money." And Brock was like, "Yeah, all right, cool. Never mind." And that never happened. That's just a big what if TNA had that money. That's basically Tony Khan now. Like, "Oh, you need more money? I got you."
So this would have been around the time, like, who are your main eventers? Like Joe, AJ, like all those matches
2006,
you could do.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Obviously, Brock was not in WWE at the time. Brock was doing some stints in New Japan. They tangled in New Japan and stuff like that. But it was kind of like the darker period. It seemed like Brock didn't really give a fuck around that time. But if he were to come into TNA, he'd easily have matches with your Samoa Joes, your Kurt Angles, your AJs back in the day.
And you're talking all these guys prime.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah,
like we've seen those matches on WWE, but kind of this is pre-Suplex City Brock.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
way before
so
coming back.
Pre-streak, so he'd maybe still be a little bit more vulnerable than we've seen him in the last few years. But yeah, that's interesting and could have been huge for TNA.
I think that would have changed some things. Obviously, again, Kurt coming in was the biggest deal for them. It got a lot of people watching. The headbutts thing with Samoa Joe got people so invested. And he had a good run, Kurt Angle, but obviously knowing years later, like personal issues and things like that he was going through at the same time, like it was a wild time for Kurt Angle. But to have Brock there would have been something like so crazy. This is, again, just a massive what if, but if that was the case, like TNA would have been a lot different if Brock Lesnar was a part of it. I would assume so. So I just thought that was interesting. Like, definitely would have got more attention on it than what most people, like, I'm sure TNA did what it could have, but having Brock there, like really thinking about that, like, I don't know about that, but would get people's attention back then.
Who do you see Brock with for Mania?
Is Brock even wrestling at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I mean he's had the thing with Lashley. Like, I don't know if you just do part 3 of that, like the rubber match, perhaps.
Omos.
Omos. I feel Omos has lost a bit of steam.
I hope so. I hope we don't see Omos on WrestleMania. But yeah, Brock v. Cody. If we're not doing Cody Roman.
Cody, yeah.
Brock v. AJ, Brock v. Finn, Brock v.
Braun, maybe, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
don't care about that.
No, me neither. I'm just trying to think of viable, like main event guys that they've
I don't really know. Because the title matches are
Brock
full.
Edge?
That
could be new.
Yeah, actually, that could be pretty good, considering they fought a lot back in the day, but Edge wasn't at the level.
Like, Edge will have to come back soon to get his
revenge
payback on Judgment Day. But we assume, like, he's already had the match with Finn. He's already had the match with Priest.
Yeah.
We know we're going to Dominic Ray. So maybe, that Edge Brock could be cool. But cool. I could also see, like, them doing the spot in the Rumble with Lashley and Brock, kind of
teasing the third.
They both eliminate each other, and
you know what? People would be into that again.
I'm
sure.
So,
yeah, why not? Book it. Yeah, WrestleMania could be pretty good if WWE doesn't fumble.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pay-per-views have been strong. I think TV again has started to dip. That honeymoon phase is definitely over, but I think they could have a pretty stacked Mania this year.
Chris Elliott in the chat says, obviously they should go to Brock v. Riddle. If that one day will happen. I think Riddle's getting in the better books of WWE, so maybe one day, but Brock's still being Brock.
Like, he went from one of the hottest acts with Randy, and now he's with Elias and Bongos.
Weird.
And yeah, the Randy injury as well seems pretty serious.
Randy v. Brock 2.
I never thought I'd be one to miss Randy, but I loved him this last year, and I think he's someone who you could have some interesting matches with, obviously, the Riddle match eventually.
Yeah.
But we'll see. His back injury seems pretty serious there.
Yeah.
Well, that's all of our news items this week.
Yeah, we did it. We ran
did it.
through a bunch of different stuff that wasn't just NXT. We did it, guys. How did we do?
We do